Hello, welcome to Internationally Speaking, a video series from Brookings India where we discuss international affairs and the implications for India. My name is Dhruva Jaishankar. I'm Fellow in Foreign Policy Studies here at Brookings India. It is mid-March and it's been a very eventful last month. The biggest issue, the one that seems to be on everybody's lips, whether it's in India or around the world, has to do with the recent increase in tensions between India and Pakistan. On February 14th last month, we saw a major terrorist attack at Pulwama in Jammu and Kashmir, in which over 40 Indian paramilitary soldiers were killed. This has been the most devastating attack of Islamist terrorism since the 2008 Mumbai attacks, and has therefore, coming so soon, particularly before a general election, became a major issue. Jaish-e-Mohammed, a group based in Pakistan, claimed responsibility for the attack, and after several measures, including taken by the Indian government, including the revocation of most favored nation status, a trading status for Pakistan, we saw on February 26th airstrikes conducted against a Jaish-e-Mohammed training facility outside the town of Balakot in Pakistan. There were reprisals the next day by the Pakistani Air Force. This led to the downing of a MiG-21 aircraft, the survival of the pilot and his capture, and his release the next day on February 28th. Since after that time, we've seen something of a calming of tensions, the return of Indian and Pakistani high commissioners to each other's countries, but clearly this has been something that invited a lot of international attention, particularly in the run-up to the elections. Another issue that has been taking on, assuming a great deal of international attention, but not necessarily so much attention here in India yet, has involved a Chinese company called Huawei, a major telecoms company, whose chief financial officer and the daughter of its founder, Meng Wanzhou, was arrested in Canada in December of last year to be extradited to the United States. This has put Huawei in some ways at the front and center of a major series of US-China trade and economic disputes, and Canada, which made the arrest, has been caught to some degree in the crossfire between the two countries. The issue of Huawei is a complicated one. There are concerns in the United States about close ties between the company and the Chinese leadership, including the People's Liberation Army, China's military, and concerns in the past, not just in the US, but in other countries as well, about its role in espionage. The latest concerns, though, have to do, center in some ways around the issue of 5G, which is the next generation of telecommunications technology, which will have a number of industrial and security applications. This will basically enable video to be downloaded in a matter of seconds. It will have implications for a vast number of appliances and applications, including driverless cars, amongst other things. And the competition over 5G is now heating up. Huawei has been in some ways the leader of it. It has very few competitors, largely European competitors. And the question now has arisen in the US and amongst the US allies about whether to ban Huawei entirely from 5G networks. This has taken up some steam and put many countries at this point of time, mostly in Europe, including the UK and Germany, at the center of this debate about the future of Huawei and by extension the future of 5G technologies. So far, we've not yet had a major debate about this in India. Indian security agencies actually flagged concerns about Huawei many years ago, almost a decade ago, in fact. But Huawei has been involved now in 5G testing in India and is working with several Indian telecommunications companies. And so we are seeing, we might see in the near future, greater tension between security concerns on the one hand, as well as India's international partnerships, and on the other hand, commercial concerns and questions about pricing, particularly for Indian telecom consumers in the telecom market. A recent survey that we did here at Brookings India, a recent study, involves a survey of India's strategic community. The strategic community defined here as members, both current and former members of India's bureaucracy, the military, the diplomatic corps and the political leadership, as well as people outside of government, those who primarily worked at think tanks, at universities, in the media, and in the business community. And in a survey of 127 members of the strategic community that was conducted in December of 2018, we have come up with a number of insights in terms of how this Indian leadership thinks about global issues and global priorities and India's role in the world. Amongst the findings, over 70% of the respondents said that preferential trade agreements that India has been involved in have been good for India. 75% name the United States as India's most important global partner. 54% say that Chinese assertiveness is the major external challenge facing India, while 71% name economic issues as India's biggest domestic challenge. While there does seem to be consensus on some of those areas, internal and external challenges, global partnerships, and so forth, on other areas we find a great deal of disparity in terms of what Indian strategic elites think, and this includes how and when to engage with Pakistan. We saw different clusters of opinion about whether to engage with the military, the civilian government, and civil society in Pakistan, or whether to isolate or contain Pakistan altogether. We also saw different clusters of opinion around India's preferred partnerships in West Asia or the Middle East. Then that includes large numbers for the UAE and Israel, but also sizable numbers for Iran and Saudi Arabia. You can find more about the survey on the Brookings India website. And finally, a preview of something that we will be producing in light of the Indian general elections, which are now scheduled for April and May of 2019. In early May, we will be releasing India 2024, a series of policy recommendations by Brookings India experts from a variety of backgrounds for the next government on major policy issues facing India. So we will look forward to that, releasing that in May of this year. Thank you for joining us on Internationally Speaking, and I hope you can tune in for future episodes.